this is Nolan Lure, and I've been playing World of Warcraft since it first came out in November of 2004. And now that's Cataclysm's released, I know there's been a lot of changes with a lot of profession, past, and everything like that. So today what I want to do is go over the complete Alliance mining guide to get you to 525 as fast as possible using the best mining path. So what you need to do is have your race, pick your race, and then let's go ahead and get started with mining copper to go from 1 to 65. So if you chose a Night Elf, here's the Dark Shore. And then black paths are just going to be your routing paths for getting the most copper. Now you have human, it's going to be yellow and forest. Feel free, no big deal, just pause the video, come back to it, and that way you can refer to these areas. Also, you'll see red zones, like circled in here. That's hot zones for where you're going to find definitely good amounts of the ore. For dwarf and gnome, here's Dunmorrow, Dormoroth, however you want to pronounce it. For Draenei, it's Azure Mist Isle. For the new class, the Worgen, or new race, Dark Shore, again, same as Night Elf. Now that you've hopefully hit 65 by now, it's time to move on to mining tin and silver, which will level you through 66 to 125. So at Kalimdor, you'll find Ashenvale. In the Eastern Kingdoms, you'll find Hillsbrad Foothills, and it has a good hot spot right there in the middle. So don't worry about the level position there. They've actually changed all the leveling around. So you can still go there at level 20, 30, and you'll be okay. So now that you've hit 125, it's time to move on to Iron and Gold, which will actually level you through 126 to 175. So Kalimdor again, you'll find Feralas. In Eastern Kingdoms, you'll find Western Plaguelands. Eastern Kingdoms again, the Cape of Stranglethorn. Now that you've hit 175, it's time to move on to Mithril and True Silver, which will level you through 176 to 230. So here we have Kalimdor again, Felwood. Eastern Kingdoms, which you have Badlands. Eastern Kingdoms again, Burning Steppes. So now that you've hit 230, it's time to move on to Thorium, which will level you through 231 to 275. So you have Kalimdor, which you'll go to Winter Spring. You have Kalimdor again, which you'll find Silithus. Eastern Kingdoms, Blasted Lands. Now that you've hit 275, it's time to move on to Fel Iron, which will level you through 276 to 325. Now here, hopefully you're at level 58, you can take the Dark Portal and move out to Outlands for Hellfire Peninsula. And as you can see, I have two different mining mounts, I should say, or paths. One's the Flying Mount, which is blue, and then if you don't have the money for the Flying Mount yet, or you can't get it at level 60 until you're level 60, so you can go ahead and take the Ground Mount, which is of course the black. So now that you've hit 325, it's time to move on to Adamantite, which will level you through 326 to 350. So in Outland still, you're going to go to Nagrin. The best places to hit up are the caves, of course, because it's just where you're going to find the most Adamantite in the easiest amount of time. Now that you've hit 350, it's time to move on to Cobalt, which will level you through 351 to 375. So hopefully now you've hit level 68. You can move out to Northrend, where you can go do Howling Fjord. Again, the Flying Mount, if you have the Northern book, so you can train it to your lower tune. if you're just starting out in this game, then don't worry about it. Just go ahead and stick with the black dotted arrows for the ground mounts. Now that you've hit 375, it's time to move on to Rich Cobalt, which will level you through 376 to 400. So, Northern, you're going to find Zodrak. It's going to have quite a bit of Rich Cobalt. Now that you've hit 400, it's time to move on to Rich Serenite, which will actually level you through the last bit of 401 to 425, or you can just do regular Serenite if you like. But I just know Chalice Basin has a lot of Rich Serenite, so it's really good to just go there and get that done. Once you get your 425, this is where you got a little decision you make. You can stay around Northern and then finish out to hit 450. You can stay with the Rich Serenite, or you can go to Winter Grass and actually find a lot of Rich Serenite there. Or you can go ahead and say you hit 425, go ahead and get the heck out of there and move on to Obsidian, which will level you through 426 and 475. So if you want to move on to Mining Obsidian, you're going to go back to Kalimdor and go to Mount Hyjal. Now the reason I chose Mount Hyjal is because it's actually one of the last ones, the only place you can go with the ground mount still to mine the Obsidian, versus anywhere else it's going to be all underwater and swimming and takes longer. So now that you've hit 475, it's time to move on to Elemental, which will level you through 476 to 525. So here's the Maelstrom, Deep Home, and get the one hot spot there, and that'll get you to 525. You stick with this path. So my name is Noah Lure, and hopefully you subscribe to my subscription, and hopefully that way, because I'll have a lot more videos coming up and everything, and just stay tuned with what I got coming up for you. And World of Warcraft, hopefully you have some great, stick with it. It's a great game. Hopefully you have some great success with it and everything. So good luck to you.